Can we talk about the dean of former British prime ministers?
Oh, let's do
Yeah,
that.
because I have some sound of Tony Blair in response. I don't know if you listened to it. I'm sure you have, Jimmy. But this is
Okay.
after the Chilcot report was released, which really was like, it's as devastating as an official government report is going to be about the conduct of a former head of state and a former prime minister. And Tony Blair goes before the cameras. And I want to listen to this first one where he basically is saying, in this very particular Tony Blair way, sorry, not sorry. Let's listen to that.
For all of this, I express more sorrow, regret, and apology than you may ever know or can believe. Only two things I cannot say. It's claimed by some that by removing Saddam, we caused the terrorism today in the Middle East, and that it would have been better to have left him in power. I profoundly disagree. Saddam was himself a wellspring of terror, a continuing threat to peace and to his own people.
And to his own people.
If he'd been left in power in 2003, then I believe he would once again have threatened world peace. And when the Arab revolutions of 2011 began, he would have clung to power with the same deadly consequences that we see in the carnage in Syria today.
I like how it ends because he's basically like, I also have PST and I knew what was happening several years from hence. And therefore, I took a decision. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, you know, when you decide to go into a war based on lies, in the end, you can only lie to yourself,
Right.
and that's what that is right there, right?
Right.
And it's not what a nice tearjerker for him, you know. We should really feel sorry for Tony, not the hundreds of thousands who won't be able to relive his mistakes, but for Tony because he has to relive his mistakes because he's still alive. Isn't that hilarious that he's talking about this other guy? He did that all through the speech, too, by the way. His whole thing is like, we got to keep our eye on these other guys. This guy, Saddam Hussein, he was a bad guy. And these Islamic terrorists, which Iraq will be a chapter of. That's what he said in that speech, too. As if Iraq was a chapter in the fight against Islamic terrorists. No, that is what broke open the Middle East, you knucklehead. You broke the Middle East by going into Iraq. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't a chapter in the fight against terrorism. It was a chapter of Western imperialism. That's what that was about. And so the fact that Edward Snowden is in jail and Private Manning is in jail and Tony Blair and George Bush and Dick Cheney still walk the earth free. It just goes to show you that in Western culture, which we like to say our culture is superior to other cultures, it just goes to show you that in our culture, exposing war crimes is considered worse than committing them.
Right. Exactly.
Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.